Hello guys, we are back here at GB, and today we're going to talk about the application process for a PNP program in Prince Edward Island. So Mr. Hugh, can you explain to us how this application process evolved?
Okay, so for the PEI PNP application process, first of all, this program, applicants receive the work permit first, and they come to PEI, do their business, and then meeting all the requirements or the terms written in the performance agreement. After that, they can get the nomination certificate from the province. And with that, they can apply for their permanent residence from IRCC. So there are a number of steps they have to go through. So first of all, they have to register an EOI profile. EOI is short for expression of interest. So basically making an application to the province that they are interested in applying for the PEI PNP program. But not necessarily everyone will have a chance to submit their formal application because it's an invitation system, and then people with high score will be invited. So these days, as we talked in the last video, these days basically everyone who meets the minimum eligibility requirement has been receiving the invitation, but sometimes it may not be the case. So for the EOI, there are certain factors that the government will look at. So first, it's age, education, and their experience, language, and adaptability, and lastly, community endorsement. So those factors are getting scored by the province. So for age, they can get maximum 30 points, education, maximum 20 points, experience, maximum 50 points, and language also maximum 50 points, and adaptability 35 points, and then community endorsement for 15 points. And then here there will be the a score chart that will show up in the video so people can look at it.
Can we help clients with the community endorsement?
We can. So what they need to do is they have to schedule a meeting with the community. And then they physically come to PEI and have a meeting with a normal economic development officer of that specific community. So in the meeting, they talk about why they want to choose that community, why they want to apply for PEI, PNP, and what they want to do. And if all is satisfied, then they will get the community endorsement from the community. And then they can get additional 10 points or 15 points. So if they are getting the endorsement from urban communities, including Charlottetown, Cornwall, Stratford, they get 10 points. But if it's from rural community, including Summerside, Kensington, Surrey, Alberton, and they have a number of more communities, then they can get 15 points. But just so because right now we're under the COVID-19 pandemic, so it's really difficult for them to travel to PEI. So right now it's almost impossible to get the community endorsement, but hopefully, we can overcome the pandemic and people can start coming again.
And for the EOI, what kind of documents do you need up front to create or register an EOI?
So we have our own questionnaire to collect some basic information and resume and organizational chart if they are manager. And then we do require a copy of the IELTS test results, or it could be CELPIP or TEF. And that's all we need.
And passport.
And passport copy, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One common question for IELTS is it's the general test, not the academic one.
So general test is what's required, but for PEI, they do accept even academic module. But academic is generally more difficult than general, so there's no reason for people to take academic unless they previously have taken it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
In the last 2 years. So I have one example case just for our viewers to understand. So this applicant, 42-year-old male, and then has a bachelor's degree and have 5 years of senior management experience and CLB4, and he has a wife who is a homemaker at home, and they don't have any community endorsement. So for them, for the age, they will still get the maximum points, 30, and bachelor's degree will give them 17 points. And 5 years of senior management experience will be 30 points. And then CLB4 as we all know, that's the lowest requirement they have to meet. That will give them 0 point. And then having a spouse that is a housewife, they will not be able to get any additional score on the adaptability. So the total will be 77, and the last draw this month, the cutoff score was 72. So for this case, we will still successfully receive an invitation from the PEI. So
Even with the most basic level of English.
yeah, so for an applicant like this, applying for PCPMP or OIMP, what's the chance of getting ITA?
There is 0 chance. They won't even meet the English requirements.
Yes, I think that's obviously the strong advantage of applying for PEI PMP, because I mean, again, like cutoff score is very low. So as long as you meet the minimum requirements, likelihood is very, very high to receive the invitation.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great to know.
Sure. So once we have collected all the information needed for the EOI registration, then we're gonna go ahead and register the profile. After that, we wait for the invitation. So third Thursday of each month, the government draws applicants from the pool. So for this month, it already happened, but for October, it's going to be third Thursday of the month again. It will be October 21st. So if we register
2021.
2021, yes, not 2022, unlike some other provinces.
Yeah.
So on October 21st, like this example client will be able to receive an invitation unless the cutoff score goes higher. Then we have 60 days to submit a formal application. So during these 60 days, we have to help applicants complete provincial application forms and the federal application forms, and we have to help them write a narrative outlining how they have been accumulating their assets and any liabilities that they have. And then we have to provide educational documents, degree copy, transcript, resumes, and employment proof, like a letter from the current employer or previous employer, and income tax returns to show like how much income they've been making. And they have to provide documents to show or support their net worth, like bank statements, term deposits, appraisal value report for their real estate properties, mutual fund statements, insurance surrender value. There are many documents that they have to provide, but it depends on what kind of assets they have, obviously. And then if they have any liabilities such as mortgage, then we need to provide mortgage statement, credit card statement, any kind of loan agreement, a loan balance statement. So obviously this is one reason why applicants choose to work with a professional, because they cannot know everything.
Yes, and it sounds like financial statements make up the majority of the documents required.
Yes. And then, so once we have all the documents, then we submit it to the formal application package to the PEI Office of Immigration. And from that point, now we need to wait. Unless they need any additional documents from the applicant, it takes about 4 to 6 months for them to issue the interview invitation. Yeah, and then if they need some other additional documents, then they will send us an email or a letter saying like, there is some deficiency of the information, so we need those documents to be submitted.
So you mentioned before for the interview with the community for support letter, endorsement letter.
Endorsement.
We are having a hard time because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
How it's happening now with the interview with the immigration in the province?
Good question.
Okay.
So the interview is actually used to be done like in person. So when they are invited, they have to come to PEI for minimum 5 full working days.
Mm-hmm.
So during this time, they have to meet with a number of individuals, organizations. So typically accountant, lawyer, like those economic development officers, bank, realtors. So now because they can't come, so the interview and all those meetings are done online.
Okay.
So it's another benefit of doing this. I don't think BC or Ontario at this point that are willing to do this everything online.
Ontario did introduce online interviews,
Mhm.
but as for BC, they just suspended the entire
Okay.
program itself.
Yes. So obviously we're gonna help them. I mean, we will arrange all these meetings and interviews for them, and we give them training so that make sure they are fully prepared for the interview. And of course, our accountant and our lawyer will give them training too, tips and helpful information for them to be better prepared. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So after the interview, now they have to wait for the work permit support letter, which typically takes 3 to 4 weeks at this point.
That's very fast.
It is fast. And once they get their work permit support letter, we can help them prepare a work permit application, which goes to IRCC. It takes about 1 month, where some clients really provide like documents fast. Then we can do it like in 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks.
And would their family be included with the work permit application also?
Yes. So for their spouse, they can apply for spousal open work permit, and for their children, they can apply for study permit. And then one other, advantage of doing this is for the children, once they come, they can get the free education until high school. And for the university, they will still treat it as an international student. But hopefully by that time, they obtain their PR status. Yeah. So the work permit application now goes to IRCC, responsible for the region where applicant is living. So, but these days, application still gets submitted online. It's just who will process the application is different. And then depending on which visa office handles the processing time is a little bit different. But we're typically looking at 3 to 4 months at the moment. But could be a little bit sooner or could be a little bit more. Yes.
It's not bad. 3 to 4 months is not bad.
Yeah. I think in the middle of the pandemic last year was taking longer, but now it's just slowly getting back to normal. Yeah.
If I get, or if the client gets the work permit, how long he or she has to arrive in Prince Edward Island and start the business?
Okay. So once IRCC approves the application, the applicants will receive a letter of introduction. And then this letter will be valid for typically 1 year.
Okay.
So during this time, they will have to come to Canada to validate the work permit. And from the day that they enter Canada, they have 30 days to report their arrival to the PI Office of Immigration. And then they can have up to 1 year to prepare and do all the necessary research for opening their business.
Okay.
Because their work permit will be given for 2 years. And then, if you remember, they have to run their business on PEI for 1 year before they can apply for nomination. So with the 2 year work permit, they can take up to 1 year to do all the necessary steps.
Okay.
So once they have set up their business, they have to obviously invest $150,000 in their business bank account. But before that, they have to contact the province and get an official commencement date from them. After that, they can put the money in. And from that day of the commencement date, they have 1 year to operate the business. And hopefully everything goes well, which actually all the applicants do well. Then we can help them apply for nomination certificate to the province. So in that request, we include the business financial statement and the lease agreement, passport copies for the applicants, and any kind of documents to prove that they have been living in PEI, like typically including bank statements, credit card statements, and the school report cards for the children, and then any kind of like additional documents that we think helpful to prove the residency. Once the PEI receives the application, it takes about 1 month. 1 month for them to review and issue the nomination certificate. Typically at this stage, interview is not required. But sometimes the PEI official may conduct a site visit unannounced and random visit, just to make sure their applicants are running the business.
Interesting.
Yes. So that all goes well, the nomination certificate is issued, like I said, within 1 month, and with that they can apply for their permanent residence with IRCC. And that application takes about 12 to 14 months currently. It could be a little bit sooner again, or it could be a little bit longer. And once they have it, then they are a landed immigrant. Yes.
Okay.
And while they're applying for their permanent residence, can they continue to work and stay in PEI?
So, yes, but they are responsible to maintain their legal status. So once they have the nomination certificate, they can obviously ask the province to issue another work permit support letter. So with that letter, they can apply for another 2-year work permit. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, I think it's all. I think all the application process is very clear.
Okay.
So there is several steps. GBPI is there to help them out. And
Yes.
Go along with them.
Yeah.
And PR is not the end of the journey, but it's well accomplished.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, of course, it takes considerable time from the day you decide to do this until the day you get the PR status. But then you can also look at the fact that you can still come to Canada pretty fast on a work permit. Like typically other immigration streams, you have to get the work permit first, but they still have to like gain experience here and apply for the PR. So comparing all these options, like if you are qualified, like business stream is still attractive way. Yeah.
That's good. For me, it's all. So
Okay.
I think you can end here, and we can talk more about other options later in another video.
Sure. Sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys, and see you later.